And then all of our systems really just started to focus on not just the chiropractic care itself. Like, we don't sell chiropractic at all. We sell our specific way that we do things in order to get these amazing results. There's times that we just use chiropractic care. There's times that we add in cranial work.
That was Dr. Anthony Pellegrino, and that statement right there, 1 inch wide, 1 mile deep, that's the entire philosophy and how he built a 7-figure practice while actively avoiding the diversification trap that kills most chiropractors. You see, Anthony had a choice. Like every successful practice, he hit an inflection point where the industry was screaming at him to scale up, to add more services, do laser, do software, hire more teams, anything to basically increase lifetime value. But instead of going wider, he went deeper. He doubled down on cranial chiropractic, and instead of being a generalist, he went deep and became a specialist that people literally fly to him to see. On today's episode, you're going to hear exactly how he did it. Here's what we break down. How he went from following a mentor's playbook that didn't work out to creating his own system. The moment he realized that diversification actually wasn't the answer, to go deep was the correct answer for him. How to build a team that is just as obsessed with mastery as you are. Why his marketing strategy is actually the opposite of what most of the agencies were telling him to do. And the real numbers why doing one thing exceptionally well beats doing 5 things mediocrely well. If you've ever felt the pressure to add services, expand your offerings, or to grow into a wellness center, this episode's for you. Let's dive in. Anthony Pellegrino, welcome to the show, my man. How we doing?
Good. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. You don't happen to be associated with San Pellegrino sparkling water in any way, shape, or form, do you?
No, I wish. There was a UFC fighter by the name of Kurt Pellegrino, who I'm also not related to, but he's local and I go to his gym.
Oh, wow. Are you sure
Yeah.
you're not related to? Not like distant
Like
cousins or something?
100% positive.
Okay. Are you familiar with San Pellegrino sparkling water? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the green bottle? Do you know?
Yeah. My family, when I was growing up, had custom-made San Pellegrino umbrellas in our backyard. No relation. So they paid all of this money to have someone's brand in their backyard because they thought it was cool. And Kurt's gym, the logo is a play on the San Pellegrino logo. So like I 100% know, we know San Pellegrino.
Oh man, I
Just
just feel
not
like it's one of
related.
those. It's just one of those things you hope. No, like maybe there's some like distant relative, and you got some like trickle down money from this crazy successful sparkling water, which the water business is like talk about the greatest business model. But yeah, go ahead.
That's it, man. Definitely not. All my money that I'm aware of at this time of my life is I've unfortunately made myself.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into that, which leads me to my first question to kind of kick things off here, just so we can make sure to add some value to people. But I know you built a $1 million practice doing one thing, which is cranial chiropractic, and you actually actively avoided diversifying your practice, which would be the opposite, I'm sure, of what the industry tells most chiropractors to do. Why?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great question. I am obsessed with chiropractic, like fully obsessed with it. I wake up in the morning. It's one of the first things I think about. I talk about it all day, and it's something that I love so much. And I love business too. And kind of going through, and I've always just been like, chiropractic is the most important thing. And I've been really, really, really clear about keeping that message at the forefront and just being really intentional about everything we do in our practice. There comes a point though where it's like this fork in the road. And I experienced that fork in the road, especially during the pandemic. A lot of friends of mine, people who I think are amazing chiropractors, they kind of got to this point where they wanted to scale up, they wanted to increase their profit, they wanted to do everything else. And they were like, I'm going to diversify into other things that I can sell, right? Same patient in, how do I increase their lifetime value? And they would diversify into all these different things, which whether or not they help or not, like isn't the conversation here. I think a lot of these things are really, really, really valuable. I just refer out for them, right? And so I kind of came to that place and was like, I really want to go to the next level in practice. I really want to scale up. I really want to have these amazing results for people. But like, I just feel like there's another gear in chiropractic itself. So rather than going and adding, I mean, you name the therapy, laser, red light, soft wave, like anything, right? Rather than doing anything, I just said, how do I go the deepest that I possibly can on chiropractic itself? And around that time, I discovered applying the chiropractic principle, like subluxation based, to the cranium. I mean, not that I discovered it, people have been doing this the whole time, right? It's just I really hadn't gone deep on it in my own practice. And to me, it was like this whole world and avenue opened up. I love chiropractic. And when I looking at it, like as a doctor, learn the principles of chiropractic, learn the application of chiropractic, there's a lot of art to it. And then I took that art and the challenging of it. And for me, the dynamics of the cranial system is infinitely complex. And it was so hard, so deep. And our results kind of got to a different level with chiropractic. And then so I said, wow, cool. This is the rabbit hole that I want to go down. Truly, how do I go 1 inch wide and 1 mile deep? And then all of our systems really just started to focus on not just the chiropractic care itself. Like we don't sell chiropractic at all. We sell our specific way that we do things in order to get these amazing results. There's times that we just use chiropractic care. There's times that we add in cranial work. There's times that we communicate, one thing, we communicate neurology. We have all these different things. People essentially come to us and pay top dollar because they know that we're going to get the best results because we've gone really, really, really deep on that process.
Hmm. Do you feel like it's made it hard to scale though, from the sense of duplicating yourself? Because I can see how that can be super valuable to be incredibly skilled at this very specific thing. There's no arguing that having a niche skill set makes you more valuable in the marketplace. But then I feel like maybe the second you try to replicate that into other doctors or expand that out and to grow the team, wouldn't that make that challenging? Or maybe I'm looking at this wrong.
Yeah, man, it is hard, but all good things in life don't come easy. Right? And so, like, I'm on this journey to be the best, not to make it not to be the easiest. And so there's specific things and ways that I've, invested a lot of time in how do I train my team? What certifications do they go through? And so the really cool thing is we have a huge focus on pediatrics, right? And I have a couple associates that work for me right now. My lead doc, my number one, my right hand, I would put her up against any pediatric chiropractor out there right now. Like she's gone through all the certifications, she's done all the different things. And a lot of that is just because like I've of course been like really, really, really intensive on training, but also she's obsessed the same way that I am. And, I got to pour into her and she's just like, there's certain cases where I'm like, oh, she is so much better on this case than I am. And I think that if you have a calling and passion to like change the world with chiropractic care, right? Which is like what I am. But we talk about how chiropractic is like, I have the adage from the stage, like, oh, like, this is going to be at the forefront of medicine in 5 years. And it's like, bro, that's not even at the forefront of your office. What are you talking about? Right. So it's like, if we can apply the thing that we actually say we believe in to our office, I think that there's a world there that we can uncover.
So walk us through your origin story real quick. I think this might be helpful to maybe give a little bit more context about like why even cranial chiropractic. Like who are you? Where are you? What does your practice look like today?
Cool. So I'm in New Jersey. I am at the Jersey Shore, about 20, 30 minutes from the show. If you guys have ever seen that, most people can't believe that because they're like, where's your accent? I'm like, don't, this is really what we're like. Like you see the reality television version of it. And so my practice is about a mile from the beach, which is good and bad. Like the good thing is I'm right near the beach. The bad is if you like look at your practice and you draw a radius around it, right? Like you can draw people for me, it's a 13-mile radius that I like to pull from. Okay. And 50% of that radius is in the Atlantic Ocean, which honestly does make things a little bit of a challenge, right? Luckily, New Jersey is the most densely populated state in the entire country, but that's more for the city based areas and not right from where I'm at. Anywho, that's where I'm located. And for the last 10 years, for me, pediatric care, specifically like neurodevelopmental care, like kids with ADHD and autism, has been like the absolute like obsession and focus. It's not the only thing that we see in our practice, but that is really like what I've been focused on. And every iteration, I can think like 4 or 5 different times in our practice, we've almost like reinvented to become like this next level. And at every iteration, I just knew like, listen, what we're doing right now, like, in the past, it's like we're getting the results, but the communication isn't working. We're getting the results, but like people care more about insurance than this. We're getting this, and then it's just like we're all these different things. And I just like knew that there was a recipe to be able to have an amazingly profitable, huge practice doing chiropractic care and not selling all of these other different things, and having people when they walk in be like, yo, like I have patients who go to the chiropractor across the street to get soft wave and red light and then come to us for the chiropractic care itself. right? And so when they walk in, they know that they are paying top dollar for it, but receiving the absolute best chiropractic care that there is out there, because we've been so clear on what it is that we do. And it's just been like level after level after level after level getting there.
Yeah, you mentioned Jersey Shore, and it's just funny how where your brain immediately goes because, like, I talk about this all the time about how the media drives public perception, and
Yeah, yeah.
that's been the truth for like all of human civilization. So, like, people,
Yeah.
I'm sure when you tell people that, they're like, "No way! Like, I've seen the show.
No,
You're not from Jersey
you?
Shore." Yeah.
No, here's the funny thing. The doc I was telling you about, who's awesome. Her name's Dr. Allie. She is she's from New York, and she came down here to work with us. And Snooki is from where she's from. Not even like she's famous for my place, but she's from where Allie's from. And I just think that that's so funny.
Yeah, they did a really good job recruiting the perfect people for that show.
Just perfection. Just perfection.
Man. Cool. So you mentioned a pivotal moment in your practice of when you were trying to copy a mentor's playbook and didn't quite go according to plan and it completely changed everything about how you decided to practice. Can you tell that story?
Yeah, man. Make me go into this. That's cool. All right. So again, trying to reproduce things, figure things out ourselves. When I came out of school, I opened up my practice. I graduated in June. My practice opened November 23rd. So right after practice. And I had been working with and mentoring and like throughout school was just like obsessed with learning the business stuff, right? Like learning because I knew I wanted to do things. I also know like my personality, I do not want to be told what to do. Like ask my wife, it is a huge fault of mine. I don't want to be told what to do. So I needed to have my own practice. And the people that I was learning from had amazing, beautiful practices for what they were for them, right? 1,000 visits a week, 1,500 visits a week, like that really, really, really high volume practice. And I was like, cool, that's totally what I want to do, right? That's absolutely what I want to do. Just get everybody, get it through super high volume. And it's just like all of our systems and procedures were based around that. We were lower fee. I won't tell you what they were. They were really low. We were doing screenings every single weekend, health talks, everything else like this. And it just was like, we did a group doctors report. Like we didn't do an adjustment until people came to a group lecture. And then we brought them to do an individual report of findings after the group lecture. So like very not individualized with the actual like conversion to care. And like we built a good practice of people that were like really militant for chiropractic, which is cool because our whole systems were like, yo, no one's going to convert who isn't like believe this before they ever walked in. Like this is the craziest process ever for my community, right? It works elsewhere. Like if you are in a place that has like a ton of mega churches, I bet that system works for you. Does not work for me, and it just didn't work for me in New Jersey, right? And so I'm going through, and like I know that I have these, like I know that I view the world in a very specific way. I know that I view chiropractic in a very specific way. I know that I have techniques that I view and communication that I view in a very specific way that just looks like it just looks different from what other people do and communicate. And like that's okay, but I was just kind of trying to be somebody else. And I remembered it was like we're just like, if we had a bunch of we were basically at this place where on paper we had a good practice, right? But what I knew is if we had a bunch of pay in fulls for like a year of care, which is now what I charge for like a month, but if we had a bunch of pay in fulls for like a year of care, we were good. But if we had a month, even if we had good conversions, but too many people paid monthly for care, like we were losing money. And it was just like this up and down and up and down. And it was just like we just had to increase the volume of new patients. And I'm like doing everything, right? And I'm just communicating with other people said to communicate. And I'm doing like these health talks all of the time, going all the way out. And I went to like another health talk. It was this big one. Like I was excited about it. And I just went, I did the message that I always give. It was like 100 people there. And we had just 0 people sign up. And that night I came home and I was like, what the fudge am I going to do? Like I had 100 people there. I said this message that I word for word, what this person who has an amazing practice, who I know could sign up 97 out of 100 people in their community. I did the exact freaking thing that they said to do. And it just didn't work. Like maybe there's something wrong with me. And I had this night, I was literally like in the bathtub, like rocking back and forth in my little like 1,100 square foot moldy apartment back then, a couple of years into practice. The doctor, right? The successful doctor. And I'm just like rocking back and forth, like, what the heck is wrong with me? And at that moment, I decided, like, whatever it is that we're going to do, like, we're going to start going down the path of learning and learning from sources, but always integrating into who we are and changing the way that we communicate. Around that time, I started discovering some new approaches, newer for me approaches of doing things, building more value, charging appropriately, changing the way that we communicated, doing workshops in the office before they ever come in as a new patient source versus a way to just throw people out of the window who've already been into the office. And all of a sudden, things actually started to click and work. And within like a year or 2 years from, yeah, within a year and a half of that moment, we had a very profitable practice, hired our first, and have just continued to grow since then.
It's a powerful story, man. I think the thing that really clicks for me as you told that story is that success leaves clues. And the reason I like that quote is because it doesn't say success tells you what to do. And it's because like there's so much nuance and there's so much individuality between like how somebody gets an achieved outcome. Cause like generally speaking, everybody has more or less the same goals, right? Like they want to be healthy, they want to have financial stability, they want to be safe, they want to be in a loving relationship. Like everybody wants the same things, but how you achieve those things, that's where it gets just like so complicated and so confusing. And like one of the things that I don't know if you follow Naval Ravikant, but he talks a lot about that, about how like you nobody can tell you what to do. Like it's like that is what the value of the experience of doing anything is that you just have to walk that path and figure it out, because all advice is contextual. All advice is like, I'm going to
Mhm.
tell you what to do, but it's contextual to their circumstance and their situation with their community and their people, not specific to your contextual situation. So it's like, that's why I love that quote of like, success leaves clues. It's like, yeah, I can generally guide you in the right direction, but it's not the exact formula, generally speaking.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
So let's walk through a little bit of like that transition then of, I think you said a year and a half before you pivoted
Mhm.
from this high volume to now what is the practice today. What exactly did that look like? And when, like, what did you change? What did some of the transformations look like? What exactly happened?
Yeah, and it's just so funny that, like, we talk about transitioning from high volume, just like a little bit of a side note there. Uh, I think a lot of people visit my practice and like, "Oh my god, you see so many people, like, this is so high volume." And it's just like, compared to what I'm used to, I'm like, "Yo, we are chilling." Like, we are s like, this is like, we gotta double this, right? And, like, but comparably from other people coming to my practice, they're like, "How do you give this good care to so many people?" Like, "There's no one here. What are you talking about?" And so it's all just like, it's just like, "What are you talking about? I took a poop today in the office." Like, granted, it was on break, but like I didn't run an hour over my adjusting schedule because so many people were there. So it's there's different perspectives there. So what did that transition look like? That was what you asked, right?
Yep.
Um, so a couple different things that we changed specifically. And you want like, how about I just give you some like really clear specifics? Is that cool if I like name different mentors and organizations that have just like brought it to the next level? Because I will just take you through every single step of what I've implemented, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah. I think it would be super helpful for the listeners to like understand how you were able to build this maybe non high volume practice that was still successful.
Yeah, cool. So 2019, I had a podcast called the Chiropractic Research Breakdown, and Steve Tullius, Dr. Steve Tullius of the IFCO, I interviewed him because he wrote this really cool paper on subluxation, and I really enjoyed it. And we were just talking, and I like kind of liked listening to what he had to say, and I thought he was a pretty smart guy. And then I saw an ad from him like a couple months later, or just a post from a couple minutes later about his program called Waitlist Workshops. And so for me, it was like, okay, cool. What this is people are coming in to learn about a niche topic, specifically like gut brain connection or unraveling neurodevelopmental disorders, which are two of like my things. So people come in and they come into the office and they come in for a workshop. And then from there, we convert them like to care, right? And so like, or not convert them to care. So we schedule new patients from the workshop itself, and they have a big chiropractic forward, philosophy forward, but also specific to the reason that they're in the first place conversation. So as I remember like at the time when I started doing, and I just saw this and I was like, cool, doesn't matter what it costs, we're doing it. This is step one solution. Like I know that this is the next step. And I was just, my wife's like, I'm not sure, but she's, I can see in your eyes that there's no no. So like, let's do it. Right. So we started this program, and we ran with them for years and years and years before I just started doing the workshops in my office myself. Okay. And so love the program. If you're looking into it, it's great. So the problem was is that I had these people coming in for an hour long workshop specifically about like their niche, the thing they want help with, right? And then they would schedule, we would do a day one, day two. And then if you remember, my process at the time was that they sit through a workshop that was 60 minutes before they ever get adjusted. And I was like, well, that's stupid. Like they've already gotten all this information. So like I need to be able to do a real report of findings for these people and not just like throw philosophy at them, see if they're super charged up and then see if like the money makes sense for them. So at that point, I was like, okay, cool. So who's teaching day one, day two? A lot of my friends had transformed their practice by going to Elements of Closing with Dr. Glowacki. So I went there, and my wife and I, we went together. She's not a chiropractor; she was my office manager, but we went together, and we like went there. And like, granted, we were super low fee at that time, right? We were super low fee, and we went. And on the plane, we looked at each other, and we came to the agreement. I know everybody who goes here like changes their fees and like becomes like they charge more and like that might work for them, but like this is we're gonna keep our fees the same. And like we're gonna learn this day one, day two. Like we're gonna still be really cheap. Right. And like that was a little conversation on the plane ride. And then like we're on the plane, we go for that weekend. Transformative weekend. Like can't recommend that program enough. We're on the plane ride back and it's kind of like quiet. And because like we had made that agreement on the way down. And Colleen looks at me and she just goes like, yeah, so we're raising our fees, right? And I was like, oh God, thank God. I like didn't want to bring it up because like we had this agreement. It's like, yeah, oh thank God. And so we came and we literally just like doubled, like more than doubled overnight, like more than doubled, right? And so like, and we're at this point, like we are like 3 to 4 times what we were in 2019. So like, and there's more stories about that, right? So we get back and I went in March of 2020. Okay. So I don't know if that date sounds significant to you, but like we saw 390 visits the week before I went to that conference. And then we saw 150 the next because the world ended. Yeah, dude. Like, because like I told you, the people that were under care in our office were like, they only got through our report process because they were so bought in. Anybody who wasn't the perfect person was gone because like, it's so fun. So day one to day two stick rate, my stick rate for 5 years running my practice from people coming to their consult and coming to the report of findings. Cause again, our report of findings was a group session. I had a 50% stick rate.
Damn.
For 5 years. Right. And so 50% of people didn't even get a report of findings. Like, damn. Like when I say that, right. Like, and I'm just like, oh, that's just what it's supposed to be. Right. Like, well, I'm not going to change that. It's all about them. It's not about me. It couldn't be me. Right. So anyway, we changed that. And now we have a 98% stick rate. So whatever. Nice. And the only times when people like, they come in and they were like, oh, I didn't realize you don't take insurance and I don't have money. I'm like, okay. Like that's the only people. And they just like, we don't even complete the consultation because we're like, okay, like we can schedule it for another time and that might be better. Like, I'm not going to, here's a referral for somebody that works with your insurance. That's fine. No worries. So we're like, here's a referral for the joint, whatever you want to do. It's fine. Doesn't matter to me. Like whatever. So, yeah. So come back. What was I even talking about? All right. So we came back, we started doing the day one, day two. And it just was like, all right. So the world ended. Oh yeah, that's right. The world ended. And then we were like, what are we going to do? We're like, well, I mean, there's no better time to like change our fees than right now. I think I might have lost your audio there. And it's like, so why don't we see what happens? And it was like, oh shoot, like we raised it again and our conversions went up. It was like, all right, well, people aren't going to refer, right? Because it's like they're not going to refer because it's just too expensive. And what do you know? Our referral rate went up. And it's like, okay, cool. So now we have this margin. And so now we can, I don't have to get people where I have to do a screening. The screening can only be under $150 and I need to get a certain volume. Like we can actually scale on digital marketing. We can actually scale on Google. We can actually spend money because we actually have money coming in from doing this. And it was just this process of like going through, then being like, okay, cool. Now we've got this general process. Let's niche into our neurodevelopmental work again. How do we deliver the highest level of care and charge appropriately? Okay, cool. Well, that's doing really, really, really well. What's next? Discover cranial work. Wow. Okay, now we have an advanced level of care where people can opt in or opt out of that. And they're going to get even better results faster if they want to go to that higher level of care. If not, we can always just continue doing the care that we were doing. It still is like a good dollar amount, but not quite as much as if we're adding in those different levels. So instead of diversifying and saying, okay, cool, like we can do chiropractic care, and then soft wave is this, and then red light is this, and this is all part of your care plan, we were like, no, this is the chiropractic care that we do, and you can choose to have more advanced levels of that. And that's essentially the way that we structured everything to get where we're at today. Long-winded answer.
No, it was a great answer. Do you know Justin Rabinowitz? I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's in New Jersey. Do you know who I'm talking about? He's a
I
business.
don't.
No. Okay. Well, he's basically a business coach for chiropractors, and they do more like rehab chiro, I guess you could say. But his big thing, I had him on the podcast show a while back if anybody wants to check out that episode. But yeah, one of his big thing was like just the importance of raising prices for most doctors. I mean, especially if you have the skills to back it up, is like for the list of reasons that you just named of like you actually have the income to hire a better team and to pay for marketing ads and to build a nice website and to maybe do some local events or to sponsor a local run or charity or whatever the hell it is like it's just such a low hanging fruit for most doctors, because like most doctors are probably still charging prices that were the same prices that were given to them 10 years ago without realizing that like they're so far behind market value, and then it just makes everything about the practice harder. That's not to say that you can't have a successful practice doing what we talked about in the beginning of this conversation about being more high volume. But I mean, oftentimes being a higher tickets niche practice maybe gives you a little more flexibility. But yeah.
Yeah, man. And like, let's just talk about numbers really quickly. I'm a big math guy. I'm probably one of the nerdier people that you're going to have on there. And it's like, especially, I'm talking specific to like all my friends, the people who I work with, family wellness practice, right? Like families coming in, families of 4, 5, or plus, coming in for corrective care or restorative care, whatever you want to call it, and then continuing out the wellness care for a lifetime. Like that's my model, right? And so if you look at it and you kind of said, oh, the high volume thing can work, right? So you might just be, here's what it is. You have expenses every single month that basically don't change, right? Like you have expenses every single month, and then you have a volume of visits that you're seeing. Divide the total expenses by the number of visits that you're seeing, and that's what your cost is per an adjustment, right? So a high volume practice that's profitable is going to have a smaller margin on their visit, okay? They're just going to have a smaller margin, and they're going to have a big volume. But then what happens is something like the pandemic happens, and all of these practices were pretty screwed because their volume dropped in half. So they completely lost their margin. They were no longer profitable because it took volume. You have an off week of new patients and you're down, right? Again, nothing against that model. It's just the reality of it, okay? If you are lower volume or even higher volume with like a gap, there you should definitely talk to. There's, I think, Dr. Josiah Fitzsimmons. I'll connect you with him. If you haven't spoken with him, he's running a $6-7 million practice. I think at least 2 of that is from chiropractic. And he's the first person in my eyes that was like, it always used to be like, you can be high volume or you can be high fee. You can't do both. And he was like, well, why not? And he does both, and he does both astoundingly. Like it's amazing. And I think that, like whatever, like you can do both, but theoretically, like if you have a smaller margin, you need that volume, right? But if you know how much it costs for you to deliver an adjustment, I think it's just important to know how much more you have to charge above that. Now, in the family wellness world, this is what happens all the time. Okay. I have somebody come in that this is my fees, but I really want to take care of families so badly. I really want to take care of families. So person number 2 is 30% off. Person number 3 is 40% off. Person number 3 is 50% off. But guess what? You were only running a 20% margin. So now person number 2, you're paying money to walk through the doors. So you're making money on person number 1. And by the time you have your family of 4, you are paying that family to get adjusted. Okay. And like, we see that all the time. And so when I work with people, when they're like apprehensive about raising their fees, well, I'm nervous. I just want to be affordable. I'm like, okay, do me a favor. I want you to go home, talk to your spouse right now, and write down your vision for your life. What is it? What is your vision for your life? And eventually they'll come back and they'll be like, I want to go to office. I want my team to be taken care of. I want to take 4 weeks vacation a year. I want my kids to go to private school. I want to do this and I want to do that. Okay. And notice how nowhere in there did you say, I want to provide cheap chiropractic care. Like nowhere in there. Like all of it was all these things for your life. And so do your numbers actually match the thing that you want to do? And if they don't, like that's fine, but don't pretend, like you have to know that. Right. And so the way I frame this when I like with my friends who are worried about, like people who email me back when I write an awesome email about like how to charge more, they'll email me back and be like, well, like, I don't know, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, I want to see a family. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I just want you to think about this. If it costs you $40 to deliver an adjustment, made up number, and you see somebody for $38, every time that you adjust that person, you take $2 out of your kid's college fund. And as long as you recognize, and if that's your choice, all the more power to you, right? But like, unless you like, but you need to think that if I adjust someone for less than it costs me, I take $4 out of my vacation fund. And is it worth it? Do I still make that decision when it's framed like that? And then you get to make the choice for yourself.
That's well said, my man. I was just recently at the Remarkable Practice conference this past weekend,
Yeah.
and something that Steven Franson, I think, is the one that often says this is no money, no mission.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just so funny how important it is for the healthcare industry in general. I mean, I used to practice as an occupational therapist, just in general, to understand that like there's value in the thing that you're doing. Arguably, the most valuable thing on the face of the planet is helping somebody with their
Mm-hmm.
health, and you should
Mm-hmm.
probably charge accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Yet somehow the healthcare industry loves to be on the other end of the spectrum of like, I don't know, trying to save the planet. And I get it; it comes from a good place, but again,
It really
no money,
does.
no
Yeah.
mission. So,
Yeah,
but
man. And shout out to TRP. I coached with them for years. Eric Darmatino was my coach. It was
oh
one
yeah,
of my favorite chiropractors. He's awesome, amazing. Just texted him yesterday, just saying hey. And a huge piece on my journey from getting this. You were talking about like how do we scale it with this niche? Like, no way I did that without the help of TRP.
I was actually just talking to Eric the other day. He's such a great guy. I had him on the show.
What a guy.
Yeah, he's great.
That's probably who referred you.
Actually, you know what? I
I mean,
think it might have been now that
it
you think about
definitely.
it.
He told me. All right, cool. Now it all comes full circle. Perfect.
Funny. So you're obviously doing something right with patient acquisition. I'd be willing to bet that a large bulk of this is probably coming from referrals, since the fact that you are such a niche practice. But
Mhm.
can you maybe break this down a little bit more? Like, what are you guys all doing? You mentioned like doing some workshops and some talks, maybe social, Google, whatever. Just break us down. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
I have a good referral rate. I won't share my exact percentage, but one of the things that we track, one of the numbers that we track is the percentage of active patients that refer every single month. And I have a nice chunk there. But that's in I am a really control oriented. And the problem with like marketing to provider referrals exclusively and marketing to internal referrals is that it is not controllable. Like we can put everything in place, but end of the day, it takes somebody else's action to get our results. And for me, it just makes me like I never want to be under somebody else's control. Like, let me give we get a ton of referrals from dentists, but I'm like, if a dentist stops referring to us, I don't want to go beg them or my practice dries up, right? And so a lot of what we do is digital. I love digital advertising. It is for me the easy and like you need to have the margin we talked about, right? Especially in New Jersey where I'm at, there is 121. If you search chiropractor near me, there are 121 chiropractors in a 10-mile radius, and half of that radius, as I mentioned, is in the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so like if you just look at Facebook ads, let's just say there's a few. Okay, there's a few Facebook ads out there. So if I'm like $49 offer, heck no, like it's just not gonna happen. And so I have to be super dialed in on those metrics, know exactly what's going on, know my lead to new patient acquisition, know my new patient to conversion. And then for me, the most important metric that I look for, of course, is like customer acquisition cost. But what I will take, which is something I got from Hormozy, is all of my scaling metrics for digital advertising are based off of 30-day gross profit divided by customer acquisition cost. Because that's for me, even if LTV is positive in a wellness practice, and I fight with people about this all the time. They're like, as long as LTV is positive, scale up. As long as LTV is positive, scale up. I'm like, yeah, but the average person who gets adjusted once in my office stays for 18 months. Like that's my number, right? If you get adjusted once in my office, you on average will be 18 months. So if I'm calculating based off of LTV, if I don't have a massive long time lifetime value margin, then I might not see a positive number there until month 15, you know? And so it's like that's not a way to run a business and scale. And in fact, when we did things previously and we used that LTV number, we had all these new patients coming in, our gross profit, our gross collections were super high, but I like didn't have money left over. And so everything we based off of is how much money on average do we collect per this acquisition source in 30 days from them getting adjusted? Okay. I need that to be 2 times or higher. Like that's my rule. If it's less than 2, I change it. If it's greater than 2, scale baby. Like let's go. Let's kick it, kick it, kick it. And that is my process for digital marketing. Of course, we created a flywheel there between Google and Meta and everything else there. But in terms of digital, that's it. Also run my own workshops that are largely at this point I have a list of like 10,000 people who have opted into ads and workshops like that over the last 10 years and been patients. And so we hit those workshops every single month to our list and then also advertise that to the community in mostly a retargeted audience of people who have maybe engaged with one of our organic videos, not necessarily ads, but organic videos, and then get them to come in. Right. So they've been following our office. They've been doing certain things. They just haven't taken the step to actually step foot into the office or do patient evaluation. So cool. Why don't you come into the office? No pressure. Just come to a free workshop on the topic that you are interested in. And then they learn and get the value. And then they say yes to coming in. It's just like, the I forgot who said it, but it's like it's just a process of always having something to invite them to, right? Like, let me take you on a date before I ask you to marry me. And sometimes that workshop is just the first date or
I
the
love that.
third date.
I love that principle of always having something to invite people to. That's so good. It's actually one of the reasons that here in Austin, when I first moved here, I used to run these monthly local health business owner. It's still going on. I handed it off actually to another chiropractor that's still running the community. But it was one of the things where like whenever someone was like, "Hey, we should hang out," or like, "We should get coffee," I was like, "Oh yeah, I got an event. Like you should come." I always loved having like something in my back pocket to invite people to. And I think I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that equally applies to a practice as well, right? With like the workshops or the events or like just things you're doing within the community is like, yeah, just having something to invite people to that's like low pressure, low hanging fruit that doesn't have to be so serious as like come in for a consultation. Like that's a lot to ask for people. But yeah.
And in the wellness world, you can do moms groups that meet once a month. You can do breastfeeding support groups. Like you can do postpartum, you can host all these different things in your office. And it's just like the hardest thing that somebody does is step foot through the threshold. So if they step foot through the threshold into your office, like, and this is what we used to do dinners with the doctor as well, where we take them out to a restaurant and they come in and our conversion was super poor. Right. And so it's just like, well, because the hardest thing is getting them through the threshold. So the second they're coming for something, it's like, all right, cool. Well, I'm already here. It's clearly easy to get to. I know where it is. It doesn't smell bad. Might as well come here for change my health for the rest of my life.
Doesn't smell bad. That's so
No.
cool. That's amazing. I bet you some of your competitors got smelly clinics. Let's just put that out
I
there.
will tell
Let's start a
you, like
rumor.
the old, like, you've seen like the old, like, you pull the blinds and they're like, and there's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
water stains and stuff on it. Like, I'm so glad it doesn't exist so much in my area. I mean, it's like, my area is a little like affluent little niche. But yeah, dude, like I'll walk by somebody's office. I'm like, people come here? Like, come on. I have a little pride.
Can we nerd out on marketing for a second longer here?
Of course.
Yeah, because I know this is something, I know you're on TikTok and Instagram, like you're doing all the things. I'm curious as to like which are these are having the best results, I guess you could say. And the reason I use the word results as opposed to like exact numbers is because like everything, there's nuance, right? Like you could be getting a ton of leads on, we'll say TikTok, but they're trash quality, or you could be getting
Mhm.
less leads versus doing a workshop or a Google ads or something, but they're higher quality. So I'm just curious as to like what is working the best for you, I guess, and has it evolved?
I mean, it's like results. It kind of highest for me. Like I think Google search ads, people hate on it. They still work, right? They work. They still work with a really high. Like if you're charging appropriately, you have a good process. They work. The problem is that they're not as scalable because end of the day, not only so many people are searching in your keywords. So like I love Google ads and I love having patients come in from Google because they're great. It's like I just wish, I could go out there and make more people search for Google. Actually, the only thing that beats like my return, well, not the only thing that beats my return. I also I'm a PX doctor for pediatrics, and we get referrals from their site all the time, and those referrals are typically really good. We've really dialed in our process to serve them specifically. Like, we know they have specific objections, problems, everything else like that before they ever come in, and we address those way before. Like, we have a process specifically for that lead source, so like we've really dialed it in. But again, like, I can only, like, I have no control over people visiting their website and searching for people, like searching for chiropractors in my area, right? So like, I would love to just say, can I pay you more to get more people? But that's not how it works, and Google's kind of similar to that. Other than that, I mean, just like meta direct response, I don't like TikTok. I did TikTok. I just spent more time deleting nasty comments than anything else. I felt like it didn't really do much for me. And again, everybody's different. Like, I don't have your clickbait ads. Like, my stuff's all pediatrics, and TikTok is like really emboldened to hate pediatric chiropractors, it seems. So like, it's just not for me. So I use repurpose.io to basically duplicate all of our Instagram content with no additional thought to TikTok. Like, maybe one day that'll clear up and hit, but for right now, I just leave it. I don't even look at it. I'll log on once a month, and I'll see like 250 negative comments. I'll scroll through to see if anything is like worth doing, and then I'll just leave it. Like, I don't really care. But meta direct response for me is something that is very scalable. And just, when it gets to the point where we plateau with that, what I've found is that improving the quality of our assets, like, is actually what creates the window, and that there's almost like a much higher scalability. Like, if right now you're like, well, meta only works up to this dollar amount, like, your videos probably suck.
Yeah, and in such a competitive market, because I definitely have clients as well that are in like super competitive markets as well. Actually, one that's coming top of mind right now is they're actually in California, like Newport Beach area, which I know is very
Oh,
competitive for chiropractors.
yeah.
I'm curious as to like what, like how much are you spending? Is it more about the dollar amount? Is it more about the quality of the ads you're putting out? Like what's actually giving you the ROI that you're looking for in these competitive markets?
Cool. I will, without giving away too much secret sauce. All right. Cause like, I would say that when we do our direct response ads, we looked at it and we said, what is the one thing that when someone comes here, we do that not even like, oh, they can only get adjusted here in this way. Like, no, what is the only thing that, like, only we can get these results. Right. And like, that's the one thing that we have one niche that we market. And I worked with like a bunch of marketing agencies, and they were all like, that's too narrow. Don't do that. You need to have broad. You need back pain, sciatica. And I was like, but I don't want back pain and sciatica.
Right.
Like, that's just not what I do. Why would I do that? Well, a niche is pediatrics is too narrow. TMJ is too narrow. It's blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, whatever. And so I threw all that away. I just went super deep on one niche, and just was like, again, breaking it down. At first, I was literally pulling CSVs of ad performance and dynamic creative, like video only, because we retarget video, primary text, headline, description every single day. Like, every single day. I'm spending an hour on it a day. Like, what works, what doesn't, every single day, until I got to the place where I'm like, cool, it works. And then it was like, we got the formula: scale up, scale up, scale up, scale up. I'm a big fan of automation. And so now at this point, I am to the point where I don't really work on it too much. I only look at ads Sunday and Thursday. Okay. And this is how it works though. On Sunday, I have an automation in N8N. I don't know if anybody here is like familiar with that. I love N8N. I'm a big N8N junkie.
Fancy Zapier.
Okay. If you like N8N and fancy Zapier, I'll share some of my workflows where I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty freaking cool. And so what it does is it basically pulls via the Meta API all of the performance of my ads. It also pulls all of our practice stats specific to that, like Meta, specific to our direct response. And then it populates all of that into a Claude API pull, and then basically analyzes all of our practice data, all of the individual assets, all of my ad performance, campaign, and ad group historically, and then gives me specific recommendations: scale up, scale down, where's the breakdown, what's going well, what specific assets do we keep, what specific assets do we watch, what specific assets if we kill, and then it also recommends new assets that need to be replaced. And so that all happens. I've also, through Claude and N8N, there's now like MCP access, so I can have it set up so I can literally just respond to Claude and be like, cool, can you raise the budget from $165 to $170? And it will actually do that in Meta without me ever getting into the Meta campaign. I know.
You can
know. Yeah.
you can see my.
You can. All right. So
Well,
like since you like this, you have to have your N8, you have to have the N8N campaign set up to be able to do it. So like you just set up a webhook and Claude, if you turn on MCP access,
oh,
Claude can fire that webhook for you.
got it.
Right. So I mean, go in Claude. Claude, you can also import JSON to N8N. So like go to Claude, say, hey, I want you to be able to do this. Give me the JSON to import into N8N. And then you just click 2 buttons, connect your credentials, and it's good. So like it's no effort. I mean, you got to tweak it, but like it's no effort. So that happens on Thursday. And then on Sunday. And then on Thursday just my kill day. Looks at the assets. What are we doing? And then it just verifies like, this is what I recommend that we kill. Is that cool with you? And I just say yes or no, and it automatically kills the assets.
Okay, I have some work to do today.
Okay, you want a better one? I got one more. You ready?
Yeah.
So, we've been running niche ads for the last like 6 months, right? And so I have lots and lots and lots of creatives. I keep 5 to 10 creatives running at all times. I'm typically killing 2 or 3 a week or more. So like we create a lot of content. Some of that content works, some of that doesn't. So every time I upload a new video, I have an N8N workflow where it will break down frame by frame what's going on. It will transcribe the video. It will have Claude analyze that transcription, append to a Google document exactly what is happening in that video. What is the hook? Who was on the screen? What are they doing? What are the scene transitions? How long was it? Everything else like that through a template. And then automatically once a week, it pulls my max, my lifetime results for each video asset from the Meta API, and then combines it with that document to find patterns of what works and what doesn't, and recommends 3 to 5 new specific assets for me every single week. Monday, I log into my computer, I look at that, boom, this is what's recommended. I shoot that off to my team, and they know what we're going to record on Thursday.
So it's basically doing your creative for you based on the data that is like, this is good, this is bad.
100%.
Fuck. Okay.
Right? Isn't that cool? I'm really proud of that. Now that I will tell you, that took me like 10 hours to set up, like to get it perfect. That is not like a small little thing. But like once it's going, it's so freaking cool. I'm like so pumped about it. And I have little things like that all the time. Like we use Trello as project management. So AI will automatically analyze all of the movement in my project management board. And on Monday, when I come into the office, I have an email with what everyone is working on, what they're doing, who's falling behind. And I don't ever have to log into the actual project management board itself. It also analyzes the movement for each individual team member that's on the board and shoots them a Slack with, this is what you did well, this is what needs to be done this week. And I don't ever have to touch it.
Damn. It's so funny. I just had a call with Nikki Kodis, I believe is her name. She's one of the wealthy practitioner group or whatever.
Oh, cool. And, yeah, I met her at Syntropy in a couple months ago.
Yeah, they're great. And yeah, I guess I would have assumed because they're very pediatric. I would have thought you would have been part of that.
And Steph's practice is a mile from mine.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, that's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Small world. But yeah, one of the things
our kids are in the same, or they're not in the same class, but they're in the same grade at the same school.
I love a good small town story. But yeah, one of the things she brought up was just like using ClickUp. And I've had a lot of docs on the show, and she was the first one where like we got deep into the rabbit hole of Click. So if anybody doesn't know, ClickUp is a project management system, but kind of like Trello. But like how much that can streamline a practice is unbelievable. And then adding the layer of what you're talking about of the N8N or Zapier or whatever the hell you want to use, man, talk about how much that can streamline a practice. Unbelievable.
Bro, since you like this stuff, QA agent as well. So we have an SEO board. And so like, dude, I don't know anything about a website, but like, I know how to do shit in Claude and like have it tell me what to do. So, all right.
Same.
So like give it all, put it all in the new task. They drag it to like needs approval when it's done. Right. And so when it gets dragged to needs approval, it shoots out on NAN to an AI agent that will analyze and actually go through and verify that all of the change was made appropriately. And then it will add in any comments of like what worked or what didn't. Did it pass? Did it fail? And then it will either move it to needs revision or task complete.
Dude, at what point I'm assuming, are you using Claude or Claude Cowork?
I pay a lot of money for Claude. I use both.
Okay.
And Cowork, Claude, Chat. And then I have pretty broken down like what I use each of them for.
Okay. I feel like at some point, because especially with, I don't know if you saw about the whole, what's it called? OpenClaw and like OpenAI buying OpenClaw for some unknown obscene number, I'm sure. And at some point, like the agentic AI stuff is just like, It'll probably at some point, I mean, it will at some point be like you just drop the prompt into Claude and it'll create the entire workflow that you just said probably took like 10 hours. At some point, we're not there yet, but at some point, like
Yeah.
that's, I mean, and Zapier's already halfway there. I don't know if you ever use Zapier, but you can literally use its AI and just tell you the workflow and it'll essentially
Mhm.
almost like build the entire workflow for you. It's like,
Yeah.
this
For
is
this
it.
complex stuff, like, so I've used Zapier. I switched to N8N because of the like availability and complexity with like HTTP requests, and
Right.
because it works really well with Claude with MCP access. I started that workflow, the one that took me like a long time. I started it like Claude gave me what to import. And it's just like, it's just not perfect. And I've
Yeah.
used N8N like native AI builder. And I'm like, yo, Claude's AI builder is better than N8N's internal AI builder. And so it's like, yeah, it still takes time. I haven't gone down the open Claude train because it's just like,
Don't
it's
do
like
it.
1 inch wide, 1 mile deep, right? It's like, I'm going to learn another new tool right now. Like this is going really well for me right now. And how long I have to invest to learn this and what's going to be the benefit of that? And so maybe there will be a day where it becomes undeniable for what I do in Claude Code and Cowork. I would be really upset if I had to compete with me. Like, I just want to say, like, it's just my like streamlined, like the amount of stuff that gets done through my desk. What the reason I have 3 screens is because like Claude Code on the left, Claude Cowork on the right, what I'm working on in front of me, right? And so it's like that's the reason that we like my work looks the way that it does. But like it's just you've got to have like it just really, really, really dialed. The process of learning it is wasted time also.
Totally agree, man. And to answer your question of like, I probably wouldn't walk the open claw if I was you, just based on like how quickly co-work is already coming along, and probably I'm
Mhm.
sure again OpenAI is going to somehow sync and integrate this and make it way easier than having to try to fiddle with it yourself. Because I did walk that path for a moment, and I was like,
Mhm.
this is a rabbit hole that is going to take me a week to learn. That is not worth my time, considering the tool is already going to be improved in 3 weeks. So it's like this isn't worth it. But
And like what Cowork can do.
yeah,
Like, I have it set up in an automated task that like I like my folders in my computer being all, like organized, but I don't like organizing. So like I have a daily task that I have a folder, any new thing that I need to organize and put into there, like I drop it into the Cowork needs organization and it will automatically put it in the appropriate file
yeah,
system like
yeah.
every morning. And then it's just like to do competitive analysis with Cowork, like if you're not doing that, you should do that. Like it's really good.
I feel like we're gonna need a second podcast episode on automations and AI tools and all the stuff that doctors probably are not using.
Yeah, and
uh,
it's all at the same time, it's also like if you're thinking about this before your conversion is set, don't think about it.
mm,
It's like you don't scale, like don't try to scale something that's shitty.
mm,
It's in the same way that like when I have a patient come in who's like seen another chiropractor for years, that's just like rack and crack once a month. And I'll look at them and be like, I know that you've been on a maintenance and wellness plan and like I want you to be there. I did this specific evaluation. This is exactly what we're seeing. This is the exact metric. This is where we're at. This is where we needed to be able to maintain. Otherwise, we're building a house on a foundation that's not good. And people are like, cool, that makes perfect sense. And it's just like, if you're trying to scale all of this up, like me 10 years ago, when I'm charging like nothing, I have like a negative 50-cent margin. If I started doing all these automations back then, like, congratulations, I spent all this time on something that made me more poor.
mm. Let's land this plane, Anthony. This has been great. Where can people find you? Website, handles? How can people reach out?
Cool. If you thought at all any of this was like a nerdy thing you want in your inbox, visit me at thecranialdoc.com. I got twice a week email series that goes out with all of these types of topics. And then if you were like, I don't like to read, I like to listen, and my fast-paced New Jersey talk wasn't too much for you, podcast of the same name, The Cranial Doc, nice and easy. Or on Instagram, which is mostly reels of the podcast and the occasional kid doing something funny. It's at, you guessed it, The Cranial Doc.
And if anybody wanted to dive deeper into the cranial training stuff, do you have anything for that as well?
Not yet, but get on the email list. I got a bunch of good stuff out there, and then you'll get it when it's there.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for doing this, man.